This is the Agorist Next podcast. I'm Brandon. I've got my great co-host Dag with me. How you doing, Dag?
Excellent, man. Just another day of doing Agorist shit. How about you?
Same.
Hell yeah. So we have a very special guest tonight. Before we introduce our guest, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Presearch. Check them out over presearch.org. Really excellent search engine. No spying, no censorship. You earn crypto just by using it. And really, really great project, guys. They're helping us keep doing what we're doing. So, show them some love and go check them out.
Yeah, with Presearch, you can also keyword stake. Being on the first page is important. So if you keyword stake and you say, when people search for this word, then you're on top. And just being on that first page is incredibly important. I think 90 or 95% of all searches don't go past that first page. So
there's more than one page?
Yeah, exactly. And then, not only keyword staking, but you get to go from any search engine you want. Pretty much, you don't only have to use theirs. With the click of a button, you can switch over to like DuckDuckGo or Spying Google or
Google,
yeah, or whichever one you want.
I do really like that feature because I have had times where I search something and I don't necessarily like the results, and it's just I just click DuckDuckGo next, just click that button and then boom, get a whole new set of search results. So it is really nice that they have that feature.
Yeah, absolutely. With that said, we've got Decentralized on here, but I want to let people know that if they had listened, if our podcast was listened to months ago, you had opportunities to make fortunes. I mean, Presearch a couple months ago was half or less than that. It only had a $2 million market cap. Now look at it. Dvault was only $100,000 market cap. Now look at it. Epic Cash, I forget exactly where they were at in terms of market cap, but they were like at 3 or 4 cents when we posted the podcast with them. And all these other projects. So I think that we're providing value because the numbers speak for themselves. And, hopefully our loyal listeners know that we provide value, but, we're providing value. So with that said, how you doing, Decentralized?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you guys? New year, new me, right?
Right?
Yeah.
That's the motto.
Hey, I definitely have big goals for this year. So, I'm going for it.
Man, so we got 40K Bitcoin. How do you like that?
That's insane, dude. That's I always knew it was feasible, and obviously it'll go a lot higher than this, but it's just crazy to me that I don't know, I'm watching it, right? It's one thing to consider the possibility of something like this happening, and then it's another thing to just watch it and be like, ha, told you. It's kind of the attitude you usually want to have, obviously, but I feel like, sadly enough, as much as that's a nice thing, I do kind of wish that I didn't have to pay $40 to send Bitcoin twice. Be sweet,
right?
Withdrawing from exchanges unnamed, which will remain unnamed, costs quite a bit of money these days. So it's just getting to the point where I feel like we're got to start figuring out these features that we need to fix to improve the use cases for the Bitcoin, because the Bitcoin is supposed to be for everybody.
Yeah, and you can't afford a $30, even a $5 transaction fee.
I have no problem, but that's because I know what I'm getting myself into when I decide to use it. But if I'm being told as a new user that hey, this is the coin and the only coin, and you're forced into those fee structures, I think that's a little bullshit,
Yeah, absolutely. And I was more or less talking about somebody who lives in Kenya or
True, exactly, yeah.
Some really poor country. It's like you can't afford not even a $5 transaction fee, let alone a $40 transaction fee. And then there's this argument, well, if you're on Lightning Network, you've only got a small transaction fee. But if you want to trade for something else, you still have to move it to an exchange and go out of Lightning and get hit with this huge transaction fee anyway. So it's like in my eyes, your options are just so limited with BTC in a lot of different ways. And economically, you can't really have something that's going to charge you a $5, $10, $15 transaction fee.
$100 like Ethereum's doing.
Yeah. You can't have that. So, economically it'd be stupid to, just dox yourself like that. But hold on, guys, I'd recommend to anybody, and I'm not trying to talk down to anybody, but pick up an economics book and go from there.
Yeah, and I think that there is like this thing to be said about like maybe we're all looking in too deep on what Bitcoin is. Like, this is something I struggle with a lot. Is like, what is Bitcoin, right? Like, is Bitcoin just this Bitcoin ticker, or is Bitcoin like cryptocurrency? And the cryptocurrency is just another word for Bitcoin. And I feel like that if you take that understanding, then it's kind of okay for Bitcoin to be the goldish wannabe, and then everything else can take little pieces of the market and do it that way. But if everyone's going to play this whole like everything else is a scam and Bitcoin is Bitcoin and maybe Ethereum's okay, but only Tether's okay because it supports Bitcoin, but everything else is a scam, obviously. I think that's the mindset that makes me frustrated, because the other mindset would just make sense, because if Bitcoin wants to if he wants to have a fee structure, he wants to have RBF and all this type of structural choices that are made to make it kind of pump, like Tether being a feature of Bitcoin and stuff like that, that's fine, whatever. I have no problem with that, But you also have to, at that same moment, kind of accept that the rest of the market needs to exist if that's what you're going to do to the Bitcoin,
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I'm glad that Bitcoin's doing really good, but I've got my own frustrations with Bitcoin. That's why I moved to Bitcoin Cash, something that doesn't, that's easy to use every single time. I don't have to have a certain wallet and use a certain thing for it to work. It just works. And
that's what worries me about Lightning is like user retention and user acquisition is way easier if the product is simple, and if it's just like easy to use, like it's just like stupid easy, like Apple type mentality for users. There's a reason Apple is the most successful user base out there for what they do, because they always go for the lowest common denominator for like UX. So like when you do that and you make it 2-button, 3-button uses, and you don't have to do setups and copy paste fucking all these addresses and set up nodes, and it just like you're going to get a lot more users a lot faster. So I think that imagine a world where Ethereum, like it was supposed to be, like Bitcoin Cash, like it was supposed to be, we're all still parts of Bitcoin. I think we'd all be we'd be at $150,000 Bitcoin right now.
Yeah, I think we'd be probably even higher than that.
Easily. And it's just like, that's the frustrating part. So like, I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just human nature to be slow to come to understandings as a whole. But I feel like long term, I think, it still looks good. Obviously, $40,000 Bitcoin kind of helps justify some use case in cryptocurrency, which is good. And then I think it'll trickle down from there. And then you'll see things like Ethereum, buckle under pressure. Because look, I mean, like right now, look at this $100. Like if they don't get this shit under fucking control, like how are you supposed to launch any new projects on this,
Yeah, I mean, there's just no way.
Who can use that anymore?
I can't.
It's insane. I'm cool with using my Bitcoin for fees, right? Because like that's usually when I'm like getting fiat or something out of the industry or whatever, because like most of my money is probably tied up in crypto wealth-wise compared to fiat. So usually I'm going out of crypto because I already knew where this was headed. So I'm already positioned well enough to like cash out $500,000 here and there if I need it, right? And so usually that's what I'm doing. So if I have Bitcoin, it's usually going out. But I could see like if you're coming in, it would be scary, to kind of lose your value maybe for the day, like 15-20%, because you bought a market that only had a pumpable price basically. But I mean, I think it'll eventually kind of even out, and people will say, okay, well, I'm already losing money in my Bitcoin. What do I do with it? Like my friend told me about Ripple, blah, 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 blah is going to be the conversation, right? And then from there, they're going to get burned. They're going to learn their lesson. But it'll take a while, I think. I think what happens is like human nature is just very slow, and we don't understand the speed at which it grows. So like maybe another 5 to 10 years, we'll kind of have more altcoiners and less maximalist people, and I think it'll balance itself out.
Yeah. I mean, what did happen with Ripple? I mean, when I was looking at Ripple, and my issue with Ripple is like, you've got the centralized place where people can sue. Like nobody can sue Bitcoin or well, yeah, I don't think you can really sue Ethereum either, but nobody can sue Bitcoin, right? So, I think like Ripple was getting sued and all this stuff.
Yeah, the SEC is coming down on them, I believe, to make an example out of them or attempt to. From what I've been reading from Brad's tweets, he's Brad Garlinghouse. He said they've tried to settle with the SEC multiple times, which to me sounds like he knows they're guilty of something, and like they're just trying to pay them off to leave them alone, so they can continue doing business. But I feel like the SEC is like upset about them constantly being able to sell Ripple like forever. It's like a never-ending ICO, basically, right? I feel like that's their main concern.
Yeah,
that's something like they're considering it like a security or something. I don't even crypto aside, I don't know what any of that nonsense means anyhow. So it's a little over my head. But yeah,
well, I think essentially like they want you to fill out paperwork and follow their rules in order to do something like that. And Ripple kind of did it and wanted to ask for forgiveness later on. And that's mostly like why proof of work and things like that exist, because they're designed in such a way that the SEC and them won't really come down on you. But Ripple decided, hey, let's be innovative and make a bunch of money real quick, which is, I guess, their justification for it.
So a crypto dummy here. Okay, so I was under the understanding that kind of like whatever courts had ruled that like Bitcoin or whatever isn't legally considered a currency or not a security or something, and that's why we are allowed to use it. And so I sort of thought that Ripple or whatever, Ripple was set up a little bit differently. So maybe that's why this is happening to them. But my other thought, and maybe this is totally misplaced, was that with all this attention that Bitcoin has been getting, the last couple of years, but especially the last, couple of weeks, that do we think the government is going to start, maybe cracking down, I don't know if that's the best term, to use on like cryptocurrency now that it's getting so, so popular and Bitcoin is getting so, valuable? Is this, I see this as a reason to really start pushing into privacy coins, because I feel like that they're really going to start doing more regulation and stuff like that with crypto. Do you think that's founded, or what are your thoughts on that?
I have a tinfoil hat reaction to that whole thing. So
cool, let's do it.
So first and foremost, I feel like cryptocurrency is no longer the enemy of government. They're just doing their best to wrestle their way into it in an effective way, because they know it's the future. Look what they just did the other day. Did you guys see they basically said like, hey, banks are allowed to make stable coins, and we fully are okaying the green light, basically. So now you can see Chase Bank, whoever else, they can all make their own stable coins legally, make their own blockchains that perform stable coin interactions. They're going to do that. They're going to put them, I think they already have some that have been worked on by Chase and so on. So with Goldman Sachs, whoever else, they can all make their own basically digital bank now with stable coins, right? So that's coming soon. Like that'll be like the next wave of crypto corporatism. And then I think the other side of that is the privacy aspect of that you were just discussing is basically yes, but no. Yes, because it'll cause people to maybe flood into those coins thinking I'm safe. But all technology is crackable, and all technology is like leapfrog over and over and over and over. Like look at antivirus, you know what I mean? As an example, like there's no beating the next smartest guy, because there's always the next smartest guy. And so it's like, what do you do when it comes to companies in large forms? Like it comes down to the mind, the power of the company and the intelligence of how they're designing these systems. And there's always going to be a better design to outdo that other design down the road. So I feel like privacy is just poking the government right now. We have enough privacy, I think, with cash, and we don't need to fuck that up. Let cash exist, let them print as much as they want, and use crypto as sort of an asset pool, and treat it as sort of like your rainy day fund, or your like the same reason you would buy any sort of funds. But basically you just have a couple different ones, maybe 5 to 10 is probably a healthy amount. And if you just heavily research them, make sure that you portion them out well, and leave some fiat. Like that's privacy. That's enough privacy for you. You don't need to create like Monero 100%. Fuck the government, because they're gonna find your ass. Trust me. Like one way or the other, you're not getting away from those guys' hacker teams. Like they're gonna fucking have your Twitters linked to the IP that your ISP gave them, that your Google account has on file, that your you know what I mean? Like it's all there. So I mean, the best thing you can do is just kind of use the tools at your disposal right now and don't push them too much, because the harder you push privacy, the harder they're going to develop tools to crack that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. That's my tinfoil hat reaction.
Thoughts on that, Brandon?
Yeah, privacy issues, just crazy. We're gonna need some kind of, and hopefully, I just, government hates competition, and so does their master, the Federal Reserve. So somehow, some way, we're definitely gonna need a privacy coin that.
I think you need 100 of them, and I think you need 1,000 of them, and they all need to have, cross-chain compatibility. Otherwise, man, you're putting a big target on the people that are holding those coins back.
Yeah,
because that's like same thing when they. It's funny to me when people say things like you can't shut down Bitcoin. Well, you definitely can. The government knows where to bomb. You bomb the biggest mining portions of the cities in the world, like 10 buildings maybe. There goes Bitcoin is fucking 17-hour transactions, right? I think that's a start, right? And then they can just continue down the line. Yeah, you can maybe never smother it out completely because someone can spin up a copy later on. But I mean, like, if they really wanted to shut the shit down right now, they still could. So, like, I think the same thing goes for privacy coins. Like, if you're going to force them to put the money into developing tools to track these coins like they're already doing and get more government funding for terrorism and shit like that, which is they're already doing it, and not just let them bleed themselves dry by fucking printing money and printing money and printing money and printing money. Like, I think that's the route. Let them bleed themselves dry. Because if you tell them right now, hey, we're coming for your tools and we're going to make them all obsolete, they're going to go to the government and be like, hey, we need $10 trillion to not become obsolete.
Right.
And then next thing you know, Monero ain't good enough. And then Monero's a great coin. But I'm just saying, like, there's a balance somewhere in there that you don't want to poke the bear too much when the bear has not eaten,
Yeah, absolutely. What are your thoughts on Ethereum scaling? Because right now, with these transaction fees, I mean, they can't maintain this, right?
Well, I think supposedly Ethereum 2.0 helps fix a lot of this because of proof of stake and whatever else. But this is also because people are over here pumping out the next farm and the next farm, the next farm, the next farm, and the next, they just keep cloning everything. And they're doing it in sort of a Ponzi scheme-ish manner sometimes, and they don't design these things to really live on. But what happens is the Ethereum gets tied up in the pool and the liquidity or whatever else in the rug pools, and so next thing you know, like, yeah, there's no Ethereum. Everyone's using this thing trying to get their money out, and the fees are high, and blah 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 blah. It's just a bunch of small users just doing stupid things to participate to try to make a little bit of money. Yeah, that's going to pump fees. So I think what's probably going to happen is that people are just going to start building those things on other platforms. Like, I've helped out with the projects that built on other platforms within DeFi space. And I think the fees are essentially obsolete on those platforms, but they're basically Ethereum clones. So you can basically use the same coding, the same everything. And you don't have to worry about how complicated it is because it's the exact same way as you would have done it on Ethereum. Sometimes a little easier, from what I've heard. So yeah, I think that's becoming a big. I think so. Ethereum is kind of making its own bed for its competition to kind of rise up against it, and I think once that happens, the fees will alleviate themselves a little bit more. Hopefully, Ethereum 2.0 shows up around that time.
Now, I thought we were kind of already in like a partial Ethereum 2.0 because people are already.
It ain't working.
Staking. It's not working at the moment. Oh wow.
I mean, as far as I can tell, $100 a fee. That is not Ethereum 2.0 promised, right?
Yeah, no.
I feel like it's just overwhelming user base. Like, there's too many. Like, everyone's coming from Bitcoin looking for the next big thing. Well, obviously Ethereum has kind of proven itself. So I feel like the next big flood of user base from Bitcoin users and generalized, like, all maximalists of other types have been just kind of giving into the Ethereum over the years. Like, even myself, I watched Ethereum since the ICO, and I was like, nah, that's a scam. And then, like, I never bought Ethereum to like $200 from the beginning. Like as depressing as that sounds, I'm okay with that, like, because I just wanted to be sure, and I feel like a lot of people feel the same way. But Ethereum's cool. I like it. I feel like clones and people that are trying to kind of alter the way Ethereum thinks and does things with similar coding methodology is pretty cool.
Man, I got Ethereum at like $12, so
nice.
I'm kind of blessed in that sense, but I lost it all on my boating trip. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Everyone, yeah. We all went boating. It was a great idea that on the summer. 2017 was a good summer.
Yeah, great summer.
Why did I
then
bring my cold storage with me?
then
Well,
then
it was in your
Decentralized was
backpack.
like, yeah, exactly. Then Decentralized was like, oh, don't worry about it, just do it, you'll be fine. And
Yeah, we were all gonna go backpacking with our laptops, and then the boat flipped. Yeah.
and, so Ethereum's having problems. I don't know. Tell us about Devault, because Devault has been on it's been on a tear. It's close to what? Close to $400,000 market cap now. I think one of our episodes it was around 100,000. So you guys have increased quite a bit since then for sure.
Yeah, I mean, most of that, like I said, prior to us doing the recording, most of that probably due to Bitcoin in the rise. I'm not gonna lie about, the reason the prices are up or anything like that. But yeah, Bitcoin's going up. So as long as we hold our Bitcoin, our Satoshi level, generally that means that our prices rise as well in terms of dollars. So we're broken all-time high for our dollar amount, which is, some people want to focus on their Bitcoin, costs, which is totally fair. I understand trading is that's useful. But for new people, if they got in at a very low USD cost, I think that's good for them. They've seen upwards of 700, 800% gains for the last couple weeks if they were lucky enough to get at the bottom, and I think that's good. But regretfully, that's in the at the same time that we lost one of our lead developers, and he was a very wonderful fella. We went by Spock, John Spock. That obviously wasn't his real life name, but I just wanted to give him a shout out. He was always great to us, and sadly he's no longer on this planet. So everyone just, give him a moment of silence for me. And then, yeah, but other than that, we've been a little bit silent. 2021 is going to be a nice start for us, I think, just to kind of shake off the sadness and just kind of start fresh. And I think we have a good plan going forward to kind of leverage sort of the DeFi opportunities that have been around for a little while in a unique way. We have an exchange, SouthXChange, that's going to help us kind of bridge some of those gaps. And I think those integrations are underway right now. So soon, in the maybe next couple of weeks, we'll see some nice tools from Proteus in the regards of the DeFi, and I think that'll help push some liquidity and volume for us, which will be super useful for a lot of other aspects of the ecosystem, because that's one of the main factors that people have been not really complaining about, but wanting to see more of, I guess, is always the requests. More exchanges, more volume, more liquidity. And while we like to do our best to remain, I want to say, pure in my mind, and stay away from sort of the wash trading and the pumping of the coin, which is, I believe, something that the market should take care of, not something that 2 or 3 guys should take care of. But yeah, we're essentially going to use DeFi to kind of help kickstart some of some of those needs.
Cool. Can you go into any details on that, or you guys still want to keep that kind of quiet till it's official?
I don't think Proteus would mind, to be honest, but I've always been the kind of guy that just likes to do it and just say we did it instead of just talk about it ahead of time, because then people just want to lift your ideas. I've had that happen many a times in this space, and then it's just kind of like, yeah, we'll see it when we see it, right? So from what I've heard, part of the contracts, the main contract, the starting contract that we're starting with, there'll be multiple contracts, but there'll be one that's already completed. So as soon as SouthXChange is ready, we'll kind of get a date ready for the launching of that contract and that token. And then I believe there'll be some interactions between that token and Dvault. And then after that, we'll have maybe another token or 2, I believe, that we have lined up. I have the logos designed and stuff like that, and we have the concepts in mind. I haven't bugged Proteus because it's the holidays recently, but I'm sure he could whip it up in 2 or 3 weeks max. So in the next month, 2 months, 3 months, we'll see probably a couple different supportive tokens come out, and then what they do, and we'll be described on the website, obviously. I might work on a new website design, just kind of refresh everything, lighten it up, less information, just to keep it simple, and then kind of add those descriptors to the website as well.
Cool. Yeah, and I can totally respect. Let's do it first and talk about it later, for sure. I guess one of my questions is, and I know you're totally focused on Dvault, but just through passing, right? Have you seen anything catch your eye? Like, is there anything that you'd say, this coin might be worth looking at?
I mean, I've always been an altcoin guy. Back in the day, obviously, I was super into. I used to tell people about Bitcoin and Bitcoin only for years and years and years and years. Since like 2011, late 2011, I was talking about Bitcoin to people, and I think that after a couple of years of doing that, I kind of started to understand the stuff I was explaining to people at a deeper level, and that drove me into altcoins. And then I think from there, altcoins have just been this like labyrinth of what's going to be useful and what's hype and where are the traps and things like that. And there's a couple things along the way that I've thought, yes, that's going to be amazing, and then it didn't come out to fruition. Nobody cared. So I think there's something to be said about getting your hopes up in a sense. So yeah, there's things that catch my eye, but nothing I don't really invest a lot of my money into a lot of projects anymore. The projects I do invest my money into are things that are very like I don't want to do all the taxes for trading and all this crap, right? So what I basically just do is buy it early and leave it there forever, and keep a couple stacks of altcoins down the road for things I think are going to be useful in 2 to 3, 4 years, because the people are the buyers, the users, the mainstreamers are very slow to get to understanding half of this stuff, 80% of this stuff. So I feel like those projects are going to take 3 to 5 years to get any sort of real attention. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Whatever, I lose it. So I think at the end of the day, I put 500, 200, 300, 1,000, 2,000 max into most of the projects I'm not 100% sure about, and it's just something I might put there for a rainy day, just in case they pull off what they say they're going to pull off. But for the most part, I like to invest into myself and the people around me that I know. And that's kind of where I put my money is. I'm always buying Dvault. I think Bitcoin is useful. Obviously, I was one of the guys that would argue Bitcoin Cash is amazing and Bitcoin Cash is the real Bitcoin. But these days, I'm just so over the arguments. I'm so over trying to tell people what's real, what's not real. And so I think I've gotten to the point where Bitcoin Cash is Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin is Bitcoin, and it is what it is. And if you want to use it, here's the reasons you might use it. And if you don't want to use it, no big deal. But I feel like, brand wars are over for me. I'm not going to sit here and tell people like you shouldn't use Bitcoin, because it's disingenuous to the cause, right? At the end of the day. And I think the people they're so far behind years and years of developed like arguments and understandings, and they weren't there for this or they weren't there for that. They're not going to understand how many times you explain it to them. It doesn't matter. That kind of stuff is just a waste of energy, in my opinion. So I feel like these days I just want to do Devault because I can explain Devault and I can tell people the intention of Devault, and I can tell them like the truth. I don't have to sit there and try to speak for Roger or speak for fucking some other guy that probably blocked me on Twitter by now for saying Bitcoin Cash is Bitcoin at some point, right? So stuff like that just got old to me, and I think at this point it's just Devault for me. It's just Bitcoin for settlement layer. I do DeFi tokens, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you buy this Default DeFi token. I'm like, no fucking way. I think that if there is a DeFi token that is Devault related, it would be very obvious. It'll have the name on it and it'll do something useful. And I think that's the point of us, sort of leveraging DeFi. We're not going to, launch some fucking Ponzi scheme yield farm. But I think there is some use case in there, especially if you tie in the liquidity permanently and you do some sort of like dead addresses where people can't access them, and you sort of decentralize the contracts as much as possible. They're very useful. And then they kind of provide a way to sidestep some of these centralized exchange gatekeepers that we've had issues with, because we're not paying anybody 250,000, 20. There's just no way. And even if we did, most of the trading numbers they have are fake. Most of those traders don't even have accounts there anymore because they don't want to fill out KYC. Most of the tokens that are getting high volume is because there's wash trading and market making going on behind the scenes. And before you know it, you're going to get dumped on by somebody. Like, I much prefer just having a genuine ecosystem where people are allowed to kind of like interact with the blockchain in like a wholesome manner, where you don't have to worry about getting front run by some guy's bot, or like exchange shutting down your account when you sent $2,001. I think that's not what crypto's about. So all that, only reason I say all that is because that's what Devault is for us, like is for me, is like I don't have to worry about any of that stuff, and I can just put my money into into the coin that I know I know the developers, I know the community, I know everyone's sticking around, I know who's here and why they're here, and I know what the coin does, and I know the code's like honest, and there's no scam crap masternode setup where the top guy that has 75% gets more interest than everybody else. Like, I'm so bored of that. So Devault doesn't do any of that for us, and I feel like that's just why it's interesting to me, and that's the reason I'm in crypto, is to be passionate about the things I'm working on. And if I'm not passionate about Bitcoin, it's because of obvious reasons, that'll take 2 hours to discuss. But I am passionate about cryptocurrency because, in my opinion, like I said earlier, Bitcoin is everything. Bitcoin is the entire cryptocurrency ecosystem.
Cool. Yeah, no, I've always said, even though I disagree with Bitcoin in an Austrian economic sense, I've always said use what's best for you. If that's the best, what XYZ crypto is the best for you to use, and it's in your best interest to use it, then use it. But yeah, that was a good little rant there, and you said quite a bit. But where do you see the market as a whole going? I mean, do you see? I was dreaming, like, when are we going to see a $1 trillion market cap for all these cryptos?
Right.
And now we see it. So
when you used to say $1 trillion to people, didn't it used to feel crazy?
Yeah. I knew we were going there. I just didn't know when.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. It felt crazy telling people, like,
But it seemed logical, right? So it's like, well, why not? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, even the internet bubble in the late 1990s got up to, or maybe it was the year 2000, got up to, I forget the exact date, got up to 3-point-something trillion.
Jesus.
And that was just with Canada and the US, let alone worldwide. So, I mean,
that's crazy.
Where do I see
gold's 10 trillion, right?
Altcoins?
Gold.
Oh, gold, I think, is 9 trillion. Maybe it's 10 trillion now. Yeah, you're right.
So if people want to put $9 trillion into shiny little rocks just because they're hard to find in the earth, why would they not put it into programmable money concepts?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see use cases for both shiny metals and
yeah. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, gold's amazing, but to think about it, at the end of the day, like, in a common sense level, like, people buy gold because it's hard to get and it's shiny. There's stuff you can do with it, like electronics make it a little bit more rare and whatnot, right? But at the end of the day, the fundamental use case of gold is it's hard to get and it's shiny.
Yeah, I mean, are you going to sit there and, like, make all your little computer components out of it and stuff?
No. So tell me that you can't get more than $10 trillion into cryptocurrency.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That's the logic, I guess, that you can just simplify for anybody that doesn't understand it, right?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, like, anyways, where do you see, like, in the near future, like, I'm not trying to, like, put you on the spot.
Like, 5 years? 10 years, maybe?
Yeah, just whatever you want to, whatever you want to put it on. I mean,
so far it took us 10 years, and we have $1 trillion, and that $10 trillion lets us do a couple things. I think most of those things revolve around, store of value and sending some form of remittances. And then most people don't really tell you, but that's, like, they probably just use it as, like, income or whatever else, right? So they just cash out and pay some of their bills here and there. I think those are the main use cases. Ethereum's use cases are essentially, and I'm not trying to be rude to anybody that likes Ethereum. I like it too, but I'm just saying, like, Ponzi scheme-like structures. And they are just incentivized in such a manner that the people that are most active and knowledgeable usually walk away with the most money, and the people that are trying to get knowledgeable usually get wrecked in the process a couple times until they become the knowledgeable people. So until that, runs itself dry, I feel like that could help us grow a little bit. But obviously there needs to be more use cases than that. I feel like locking up wealth long term is one thing that, you can program the wealth to be locked up long term. Right now you can do that with Bitcoin, but not so easily. So I feel like once people catch on to that a little bit, like Gerber Fund and, that kind of stuff might start existing more. Obviously insurances that are backed by programming contracts would be useful. I think all that'll add a couple $500 billion, $0.2, $0.3 trillion at a time with those sort of use cases. It keeps growing, obviously, I think, at that rate. And then obviously as those concepts grow, they shed light on Bitcoin as, fiat starts to collapse and print more and more and more and more. Bitcoin goes up. as the governments just prove to be more and more inept, I feel like Bitcoin goes up. So, we could see $10 trillion in 5 years. That's feasible for me. We could see $10 trillion a lot more realistically in 10 years. But I feel like at our current growth rate, like, what's stopping the cryptocurrency market from growing, right? What is the government really going to do? Are they going to try to destroy innovation concepts that are obviously better than the concepts that they have? I mean, if they do that, then some other government's just going to take the lead. So that's stupid. So I don't see them doing that. I see them more trying to co-opt this ecosystem and make their own version of it and try to compete with people that have good ideas, which is, I mean, that's great, I guess, at the end of the day. If people want to use government and hopefully, government-backed contracts, that's sweet. It's better than what we have right now, I would say. But at the end of the day, like, we could probably make better ideas in the open source market. But I don't know, what is that, 10 trillion, 20 trillion, somewhere in there, for all those kind of concepts added together. You could do, and then add in all the Ponzi schemes. At the end of the day, people are going to keep making Ponzi schemes. That's like crypto's number one use case these days, is Ponzi scheme.
That's funny. So, I mean, in my eyes, I mean, if we're talking 10, 20 years, I mean, cryptocurrencies could just take over, regular currencies like dollar or yen or whatever.
Well, I think that's the goal, like tinfoil hat, right?
Yeah. And that's like over $100 trillion market cap. So I mean,
do you want to live in a world without cash? I don't know. I mean, even with privacy coins,
without government backed, I want to live in a world without government-backed currency.
But do they really track that government-backed currency? That's your privacy breach.
I guess they can't track cash at the moment. But
imagine if there's no cash and everything's digital and everything's like WePay and whatever, WeChat Pay or whatever the hell over in China, and then exchanges are all KYC, because if they're an exchange and they're in business, they're going to have to KYC. And then imagine if they basically tell all these DEXs like, hey, if you're not in the US, you have to force these users to use US products like etc. Like, I think this is the ecosystem we're building if we get rid of cash.
Here's my only issue, because, I mean, you're definitely right, and especially like, person-to-person kind of stuff. But one of the things that really makes, like crypto so great is the, it kind of takes the whole, like the distance thing. So, if, you and me are on opposite sides of the country, cash, isn't necessarily an option. Now, of course, if you're telling me that, there's no way to be 100% private, then that's just the way the world is, but that's kind of the thing that it's like, well, cash is still very limiting. And that's one of the, the things that's really great about crypto, geographically speaking.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I think there's something to be said about all that is totally true. But at the same time, if you have one tool, you don't throw away all your others, right? So like if you have cash, sure, you can use crypto as another tool. And I think what needs to be improved upon if we want to have an actually solid ecosystem for privacy would be the bridges between all of those things. And those things need to have KYC lists, obviously ports and everything else. Like there doesn't need to be, geofencing and all this kind of crap on every single website. And I think we win if in the privacy aspect. But if we get rid of cash and we go completely digital, then it becomes who's got the most money and who's got the biggest team and who's got the, like that we're not winning that battle.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that would be better than what we have now, because there would be competition for gaining users instead of being a slave, like the U.S. government saying you have to use the U.S. dollar or else.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I have so much imagination with crypto that I think that some kind of solution will come along where you've got like crypto dollars, but you're able to use them like cash. Like I've seen these like these Bitcoin dollars. I saw one time and I was like, what the hell? And
yeah, they're cool, huh? I got one on the wall.
Oh, you got one? Yeah, nice. I just see solutions like that could that could emerge where you're moving Bitcoin, but it's not actually moving on the blockchain or something.
I 100% agree with that. I think that I have assumed that would be the way it would go for a long time. But how long until we get to that point, right? Because like Bitcoin has to be really, really mainstream for people to print out paper wallets that have relative value on them for any extended period of time. So like if I print out $10 right now and I want to go pay for something with my $10 bill of Bitcoin I printed out at home in my decentralized home printing office, right? And I go to Target or I go somewhere and it's now worth $9.50, I'm fucked, right? I can't. What am I gonna do? Add more Bitcoin to that now in the middle of the process? So I think Bitcoin has to be worth a very, very large amount for you to be able to send the perfect amount of satoshis that it doesn't fluctuate in value.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Bitcoin needs to have some sort of voucher program or some sort of tether program or some sort of something, right? To be able to make those transactions happen in a usable manner. Otherwise, normal people are never going to do that. What normal people want to do is they want to walk in with their Apple iPhone and they want to wave it in the air and they just want to have it work, right? So like if Bitcoin doesn't do that, people aren't going to use Bitcoin, which means Bitcoin's not going to be valuable enough for these transactions to occur. So I feel like cash is very good for those things as long as we have lots of like ATMs and everything that are usable and not KYC fucking pathways everywhere.
Yeah, and
I was thinking like
I totally agree with that. Sorry, Dag.
No,
I'm
you
really
go
good.
ahead.
I'm really good at cutting you off, but I totally agree with that because, not the cash part, but I'll get into that in a second. Because it needs to be a unit of account, and you can't use it as a unit of account until the price stabilizes. And I read about that in my article, cryptocurrency and the properties of money. And you guys can all read that on Agorist Nexus if you'd like. But basically, it's not a unit of account until somebody says this is worth, 0.005 Bitcoin. Nowadays, everybody just says this is worth X amount of dollars, and you say, okay, what's Bitcoin at right now? Okay, I can do that. Here's that dollar amount in Bitcoin. So no cryptocurrency is technically money yet because it is not a unit of account. And that's one of the properties of money. But I believe that someday when we do have mass adoption and we have all these users, that we'll get to that point, and the price will stabilize. But in terms of cash, I really hate using the US dollar because every time you use it, we're helping this government that bombs people overseas and
100%, yeah. And I feel like that conversation goes into a million different paths of like how do we live daily life, right? So like yeah, obviously I agree that that's not the optimal solution for fucking world health, but that in terms of privacy, it's the most effective and efficient way that I've found currently that are useful, like in the current situation, not 10 years from now or 5 years or 20 years from now, because Monero is very difficult to use, and I'm sorry, most people will not be able to use Monero, and if they're using a web wallet, and that's not helping anybody.
Yeah, I agree with that. Monero is really hard to use. I still like it. What were you about to say, Dag?
So I'm think about this cash thing, and I mean, of course, we can agree that yes, having something that's easy to hold in your hand and trade is good for privacy, but we don't want it to be state controlled, right? But so like, and this is something just sort of spitballing here, but okay, so what if we had like some sort of like, and I'm throwing this brand out there, not that I know or I'm endorsing this brand, I just know it exists, but like there's the Ballet wallet, right, where it's like a kind of like a cold storage wallet. But let's say we had something that's like a card, like a size of a credit card or whatever, that through some way it was easy to transfer value from one to the other. You know what I mean? That might be some sort of kind of cash-like, crypto product. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like an app, a card. There's a couple ways you could do something like that. Where as long as you like I said, as long as you make it easy, obviously yes, everybody should accept Bitcoin. But they should also still accept dollars. I feel like having the options is key in privacy. If you don't have options, then they have people that want no privacy have an easy target. They have an easy gimme in terms of what to do to circumvent those privacy measures. And I feel like the more options you have, it's just it's like too impossible to make that many different solutions. So like if everyone uses Monero, it's not going to be as private, you know. It will for a little while, but eventually it won't be. It'll just be useless. I feel like if there's not 36,000 different privacy coins in the next 200 years, and they all have some sort of cross-chain value, I feel like honestly there needs to be some sort of, if like the government, like if we want to have like a standard for like making sure that people don't get control of things, like there needs to be not a standard, but like a methodology in terms of like what forks are legitimate going forward, because things are going to get co-opted, things are going to get broken, things are going to get, you know, like half the reason we did one coin one vote in Devault was because we know that we're gonna have to fix things later on. You know, we don't want to just tell everyone, okay, we think this is the best thing. You know, like we want to ask them. And so I think that's going to be the same situation going through with most of cryptos. Like these things are going to get, you know, not hacked, but like for simpler terms, you know, hacked. Like they're going to get, you know, out programmed by another programmer, and the next thing you know, they're going to print their own money into oblivion, or they're going to, you know, their privacy will be cracked, or whatever else. And like I think that's going to shake a lot of people's, you know, faith in crypto short term. And the faster we can get to a world where, you know, this Monero and that Monero are both official Moneros, but that one's point one version behind because the privacy mechanism was cracked. Like here's the new one, like, and it's officialized or something like that. And like, yeah, then we're at talking 30 years Monero down the road is going to be valuable, because then you have a timeline of like a family tree, right? And if you don't have that, then like it's just going to be this random swinging in the dark of like what project is not compromised, you know what I mean? And I think that's the scary part about having crypto only, to me at least. Like at least with cash, you know that they can't do anything. What are they gonna do? Track your serial number at the store?
Right.
Like there's just too much of it, and they keep putting so much more into existence, and they're not burning any fast enough that it's like they're shielding you with that amount of cash, and all you need is that bridge in and out of cryptocurrency, and you're good. And a lot and higher limits, like this $200 crypto fucking Bitcoin like ATM limit is just ridiculous.
Yeah, and I feel like government's going to make it harder and harder for that bridge for that bridge to exist through regulations and taxes and whatnot.
Like I feel like the cryptocurrency that wins. Yeah, go ahead.
The IRS is they're already adding new stuff to the tax forms, and
right.
You know, do you own crypto and all this stuff now? So
yeah, what do you think? Let's see if the crypto that had, let's say, $1 billion and they invested into open sourcing ATMs infrastructure, and they said, hey, Africa, this is an idea I had for a long time, but we just can't fund it, right? There's no way. Hey, Africa, here's 150,000 free crypto ATMs for people that applied as small businesses to host them. We were going to give them to you for free and show you how to use them, and basically just launched its own ATM infrastructure. And it's like, you know, $5 a fee or something like that, KYC list in Africa. Like that company wins in crypto, you know, but you can't do that in the United States. So like, what do you do in the United States as a crypto user? You basically just you sit around with your thumbs on your butt and you wait.
I mean, I think that I think you just got to use it when you can. You know, if you've got a business, you say, hey, you know, I want to pay you in cryptocurrency if that's cool with you, and if that person accepts, and they're probably going to be better off than if they don't. And but if they don't, then that's fine. You know, you can. You know, I just think that you have to use it. You just have to use it as much as you can, in my opinion. And wherever you go, you just have to say, hey, you know, do you accept crypto? And, you know, even if they say no, in their minds, they're going to be like, you know, whether it's a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, they're going to be like, wow, all these people asked me if I accept crypto. Most crypto's up like 2,000% now. Did I miss an opportunity here? Maybe I should start accepting crypto now, you know? So I think that as holders of crypto and as users of crypto, that we have to help spread adoption, because it's in our best interest to do so. We have to, you know, even if we fail, we have to say, hey, you know, is this something that you're willing to accept? Is this something that you're willing to take? And if not, why not? And, you know, just go from there.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree. I just feel like, you know, if we're going to high level with it, like, yeah, everyone telling everyone why crypto is useful is obviously helpful, but like most people aren't gonna be receptive of that information. They're just gonna use what is popular, right? So like Apple got popular with the budget. Every single thing you see in front of you in your house is probably been marketed to you with a very, very large budget, right? So I feel like until crypto gets those companies, those champion companies, like sort of like Square's trying to be for the Lightning Network and stuff, like you're not going to have a lot of adoption. Like you need those incentives in there somewhere for those people to put the money on the line temporarily. And I feel like, some sort of crypto cashback card, maybe even after these banks see, I bet you what's going to happen is the banks are going to start taking over in terms of like innovating, because they have all the money now and they can see what the possibilities are already, and they're basically going to take and do everything that we couldn't do with ICOs. So, all the stuff like, hey, well, here's a crypto Visa card that gives you 10% cash back on every purchase. Like they're going to probably do stuff like that just to get the market share. And then we're going to be sitting here like, well, fuck, like, why didn't we tell people fast enough, And I feel like that you can only tell people so fast. So the best thing would be is these fucking Bitcoin core developers would just goddamn make it easy to use Bitcoin. And I wouldn't make me use Electrum in between my two bounties because I don't want to get fucking tagged for a red flagged on a deposit on an exchange. Like this kind of shit is getting annoying, I used to be able to use Bitcoin, open up a program in 30 seconds, it would be synced, it would be done. I sent the Bitcoin off to the other wallet, it showed up 10 minutes later, I could use it. Like hats off to at least my $20 Bitcoin transaction. Let me resend it 30 minutes later. At least that was the case,
Right.
But like we could be in a so much better place where everything is super easy to use, which makes people want to use it because it's the better product. Instead of waiting for the banks to come out with these stupid ass Tether replacements, then they're gonna go shut Tether down finally. Then which is gonna pump Bitcoin, which is gonna pump the bags that they just bought, which is gonna make, you know what I mean? Like this is just getting ridiculous at this point. So like, even if Tether sticks around, like it's just gonna keep pumping and pumping and pumping, which is great until we realize we don't have control of the ship anymore. And then it's just like, well, okay, what's the point of this anymore? Like we have to start over from scratch, and some altcoin has to champion this goddamn revolution again, and that sucks,
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't know. I wish crypto was easy. I guess that's my point. It used to be easy, man.
Yeah.
It used to be. It used
super...
to be a no-brainer to use crypto.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm just optimistic about it. I feel like crypto is the ultimate market, and I think that I think that there's going to be solutions whether people try to shut it down or hack it or whatever. I always think that there's going to be a solution because that's how real free markets work. I mean, take technology. I mean, if government was saying, okay, we're the only ones who are going to sell computers 20 years ago, we'd all still be, walking around with Pentium 4s. And
Right, exactly. Well, I feel like, okay, so what do you think? You think that they're just gonna say, okay, you know what? We've had a good run with this money printing thing. We'll just let the banks and the crypto people do it. Or do you think they're gonna just like keep printing the dollar for another 100 years? Because like those are two very different worlds we're gonna live in from, in 30, 50, 60 years from now. If these are the, like, either your thought process is that they're gonna try to compete with crypto in an anti, trusty way, or that they're going to co-opt crypto, or that they're going to just kind of put their hands up and say, hey, we lost. And I feel like it's definitely not the third one, because there's too much benefits from printing money. So like, I don't know, what do you guys think? Like, is it like
they're going to attack it?
Yeah, you think?
From every single angle, co-opt everything. They've already co-opted Bitcoin. That's why that's a big reason why I don't like it. And a lot of the Bitcoin transactions are traced. They have people who study like blockchain analytics just survey Bitcoin and try to track all these large transactions all the time. So, and then you've got don't get me started on Blockstream. They've been co-opted, but yeah, I mean, I think they're just going to attack it from every single angle that they can, just like what we should try to do is attack. I don't want to say attack them, but just attack every try to create a solution at every single turn.
Well, I think that's what like the altcoin market is, and that's why it's like I don't know. People probably know how infuriating it is to me sometimes when people are trying to say like Bitcoin is the only thing that needs to exist, because it's like that is the most like statist freaking mindset I've ever heard. And then yeah, sometimes there's a good version of statism, I guess you could have in the world, right? Whatever, not the point.
Not
Point
really,
is
but okay.
yeah, let's just say in a perfect
For argument's
world,
sake, let's say.
yeah, for argument's sake, right? Let's just say, like that is like you have to it opens up the can of worms to so many different arguments that you can't even talk to those people, right? So it's like, how do you go about starting the discussion with the mainstream industry that to decipher the difference between shitcoins, altcoins, all the different like shades of gray, if you don't, and like I don't know. That's the frustrating part to me. And so like these days, it's like I'm happy with Bitcoin. At least it's getting so many people in the industry that it's whatever at this point that it's been co-opted. Like I don't care anymore. But it's up to us to kind of take the torch and carry it, and like you said, build new shit every time we can. And if we can't do that, then we can't in 5 to 10 to 20 years, I can't send my niece or whoever else some fucking money without filling out some goddamn form about my name and whatever else. I'm gonna be pissed. Like that's all I can say. Because like that's the point. That's the whole point was the money was supposed to get easier, simpler to use, better.
Yeah.
But the government wants their cut, man.
Fuck them. Who said they deserve it? They like I want a cut too. What about me?
I just want to get my beak wet.
Yeah, I mean, what the hell? I want a mansion. Give me a yacht or something. I'll take one. Give me a helicopter, please, as well, sir.
I know they just got a huge raise from this last stimulus, and I think an even bigger one from the stimulus before that. I think they had the first stimulus, they got like a $68,000 raise or something. Everyone else got like $1,200, but
I got my $600 here, dude. I mean, it's worth something, right? I mean, it's fair.
I will give him that. I did get $600 randomly deposited into my account the other day, and it is already gone.
Yep, same. But I spent it on primarily Agorist shit, so
yeah, I bought a video game. I think
you have to do that with their chick.
I bought some Dvault.
Fuck.
Yeah, crypto's crazy, man. I don't know. I used to be super excited about crypto, like super like oblivious, happy, and now these days I'm just kind of. I flutter between what did I tweet the other day? Something about like my future is gonna be angry rants and while I'm dancing on TikTok or something like that. Like I just gained to the point where it's like I wish people understood better.
I'm relatively new to crypto, and maybe it's maybe I'm like, I'm the new like SpongeBob working at the Krusty Krab, and you're the you're the old Squidward or something, because like I'm I'm about it. I'm like, this is exciting and this is awesome, and
it's exciting.
Why wait so long to get into it?
It's the only industry I would ever want to work in other than cannabis, and even if there's another industry, I don't know what that industry would be, right? And I love it, but at the same time, I guess I hold myself to too high of a standard to where I'm not happy with it. I used to be happy with it when I didn't understand it, and once I understood it, I was like, shit, there's all these gaping holes. And then like I don't want to now. There's no going back from understanding it to not understanding it. If I could, I would just forget everything, and I would go back to just being a fucking Bitcoin's going $1 million this next month. Like that would be fun for me. Like I would be BitLord again. But I can't do that because I learned too much on accident, and I wish I could.
Hopefully that knowledge helps you make better decisions, though. I know.
Well, I'm trying to make the most of it. Like I don't program. I just learn and kind of coordinate and kind of like put the ideas together for the most part, and like kind of do business development, and I do a lot of web design and graphic design and stuff like that. Like, but when me and the developers talk, like when me and Proteus discuss things, like he knows his stuff, right? I can walk toe and toe with him for the most part outside of the coding, like with what like specific lines of code do. So I've learned quite a bit, but he can develop whatever you needed to develop. Spock was amazing like that too. He could understand what you're talking about. He could code out turn an explanation into a script that made sense, that did exactly what you needed it to without any bugs. That like those kind of people are hard to find in this industry. So like we're trying to make the most of it and like put the ideas on the table because they deserve to be on the table in a good way. but like it's difficult in this industry because it's a lot of gatekeeping, and it's a lot of like money buys your way into a lot of things, like beyond the gatekeeping aspect of friends. And it's like, if like we have this experience actually from the DeFi project we're working with, like working with some of these larger exchanges and discussing things with them. Like you don't know half the time whether they're about to rip off your entire idea and stonewall you, or whether they're about to ask you for more money or whatever it may be. But they all talk like they're about to help you and be super, but then they turn around and they don't do what they say. Let's just keep it fair, right? And I think that the industry where we've built so far is kind of depressing in that aspect. Like I feel like the industry we could build is a lot more, wholesome than that, and it could be focused on helping the users and the people like gain wealth out of the crash of the fiat ecosystem. You could turn this around and make all those people that are about to lose their houses and lose their livelihood like have a pathway out of that. At least 30, 20, 50, whatever percentage of those people you could help is huge, right? So like I feel like if crypto was angled in that direction as opposed to this sort of vampire fucking like money sucking greed thing that way it's become lately, like we'd all be a lot happier. I'd be a lot happier, I know that, but like it's depressing that's what makes me angry about it, is that like I have to exist in this ecosystem and try to be doing something right for people, surrounded by all these fucking vampires, dude.
Yeah, I feel you.
I wish I could be more positive sometimes. I do. I used to be so positive, like super positive. I was shilling people Bitcoin at like $300, dude. I was like, yeah, you need to buy this shit right now. It's gonna change your life. Nobody gave a fuck. Nobody gave a fuck, dude. They were like, shut up, dude. You want to shut up about this
talking to a friend
Bitcoin
about
thing?
Stocks.
No, it's 40.
Yeah, we were talking to a friend about stocks like 4 years ago, and it had just hit $1,000 Bitcoin, and they never heard of it. They're like, no, you got to get this stock. It's going to go up 25%. And I'm like, you should probably look into crypto. And I mean, and this was still years before I owned any. And now, like, I wish I would have had the money to be able to have bought some, heeded my own advice, because yeah, I mean, now it's what 40x what it was at that point. It's like, man, like I've never given good financial advice before in my life, other than that one time.
Well, I mean, people need to understand that like that was just the first wave. Like crypto will, like, those type of gains aren't long gone. Like people, if you want to be greedy and worry about money all the time, like, yeah, there's a way to make a shit ton of money in the future. You just need to do the education route. You need to go and see what the value in cryptocurrency is that has been untapped, and you need to position yourself ahead of time, which is going to look like, you're losing money right now. It's going to look like you're being weird, you're a shit coiner, you're whatever. Like that's what people are going to say to you, because they're too stupid to understand what they're doing. Once they understand what you're doing, they all of a sudden, oh, well, actually, there's this one project, it's okay, and then there's this Ethereum thing, it's okay too, and next thing you know, they're right the fuck next to you. So I feel like just do the research. You can make the money back. Like you're not going to make, like, as much as Bitcoin's amazing right now, what are you going to make 10x on Bitcoin if you're lucky? If you're beyond the luckiest people on earth in the next, and you can hold this long, you know what I mean? That's it. So where's the next wave at? Okay, obviously Ethereum just cracked $1,000, et cetera. Like the Ethereum's probably going to 10K, to be honest. Like what happens after that? People are just going to keep buying Ethereum forever and Bitcoin forever? No, obviously not. Like I think people just need to realize there's a timeline. We're on it. Position yourself somewhere on that timeline and know where your date's at. Like it's been 2 years. It's been a year. Let me kind of cost average. I mean, this type of thing. Like I'll tell you the truth. When I started buying Dvault, we were buying it at 100 Satoshis at the beginning of the markets. Like when we first launched on markets, and like, shit, I have a friend that probably paid 1,000 Satoshis for a couple Dvault just to be funny at the beginning, and like, now it's what, 2 Satoshis per Dvault. Like the price, discovery took like a couple months, obviously, but it floated between 10 and 2, and now we're at like 3 Satoshis. But printing of the Dvault coins have gone down substantially, so obviously that makes the US dollar price go way up faster. Stuff like that. So like I feel like all these intricate stuff people don't understand yet, but once they understand a little bit about Ethereum, once they realize Bitcoin's not going to keep going up, you're going to see this massive wave of fucking altcoiners become, all of a sudden, pop out of nowhere and act like they were always altcoiners, and then they're going to eclipse the amount of Bitcoin maximalists, and they're going to feel hated on, and it's going to be hilarious. I'm waiting
I like
for
a couple
it.
things that you said there. One is the point that it's like, Bitcoin has that high number, it's $40,000, but it's like, yeah, I mean, I've gotten coins, altcoins, and yeah, I mean they go up, 600%. Like it's hard to do that with the Bitcoin. Yeah, it's got the big number, but how much is it really, increasing? And then I kind of take the same kind of strategy that you were describing earlier. Oh yeah, let me dump, $70 or $100 or whatever onto these altcoins. And, it's kind of like a savings account. It sits there and it's probably going to get more valuable. They tend to.
You can't lose. Cost averaging. It's like sure proof.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I actually got rid of, I didn't have a lot of BTC, but I actually just got rid of it the other day and, took my small, it doubled, right? It took my gains from that and yeah, bought into small coins with it. So, I felt like that was a better investment.
But the thing is like how long until the normal people that expect Bitcoin to keep hitting 50, 60, 70K, how long until those people realize that that's the move? That's when should have been in this coin, should have been in that coin, should have been in this coin starts popping off. Like, yeah, you saw Ethereum and I think Ripple even pumped like 30% or some shit, like the 30 something cents yesterday or today. Like coins are starting to take off little bit by little bit, but people I think have a weird trust problem right now with crypto because of 2017. So they're only really buying into the 2017 winners, like the Ripples and the Litecoins and stuff. And I think once those, it takes a while for them to learn their lesson, right? So how much capital is available and then how much people are available and then how many lessons there are to learn. It's kind of a factoring of all those things, right? And then that's how the bubbles are created, I feel like.
Exactly. That's funny. Thing too is like, I feel like, and I want to add, this is kind of something that you said earlier. I feel like we're still all early adopters because I could go out and I could talk to 100 people about cryptocurrency and maybe like 2 of them will be like, isn't that Bitcoin thing? So the other 98 people are like, I have no idea. What is that? I don't know. I just feel like we're super, super early still. There's still a lot, even though Bitcoin's at 40K, I still feel like there's lots of opportunity. I feel like I agree with you, Decentralized, that I think we're going to get another coin is going to 10x before Bitcoin, another coin's going to 10x before Bitcoin goes to 400,000 and then 10x. But yeah, and I think that there's a lot of opportunities in these altcoins. I've always kind of felt like an altcoiner, even when it was just Bitcoin. I felt like there were things that could be done a lot better. And, a lot of people don't know this, but Vitalik wanted to do a lot of the Ethereum stuff on top of Bitcoin, but everybody shunned him. And I mean, now look where Ethereum's at now, So
they were purists. I get it. I totally get there. I get why they thought the way they did. Because I also thought like, we don't need this crap, But like I've since learned the error of my ways, and I now understand that the Bitcoin is all of the things together as once, as Mike in Space would put it, the Bitcoin. Man, did you guys know D Rose is off Twitter, man? That makes me sad. But yeah, there's a lot of people in crypto that would speak weirdly about crypto, but in funny manners, and I feel like the Bitcoin is a way to kind of encapsulate the fact that it's all the Bitcoin, all of it. The Polkadot, the Cardano, the Ripple, not the Ripple, fuck the Ripple. Everything but the Ripple. Okay, maybe the Ripple, we have to let them play too.
They can play, but I'm not playing with them, that's for sure.
Like there are some parts of the Bitcoin SV, like I hate I don't get me wrong, I don't own any SV, I don't like the community, and there's like maybe 3 people in the SV community that I might give a shred of respect to listen to what they say. But there is something to be said about some of the vision of an encapsulated ecosystem of use cases, right? So like the internet back in the day when the internet popped up, people used to think about all these crazy ways you'd be able to use the internet. And yeah, it's sort of fragmented, but we kind of got there, right? Like you can send videos, you can call on the internet, you can send pictures, you can talk to people instantly, it's like you're there sort of sometimes. So I feel like, crypto has a long way to go to get to that level of like, okay, we got there. And I think when we get there, it'll look like, a singular ecosystem of sorts where you have like flawless capability to float between projects, and like there will be like decentralized exchanges that have like any project you can list, but it's not only Ethereum projects, instead of Uniswap for just Ethereum tokens, it's some sort of decentralized exchange for all sorts of tokens and coins. and there's no KYC, and it's contract based, and those things have some sort of integration with ATM infrastructure for dollars. I think that ecosystem would be very cool. And then you have like maybe social media networks that are tied into the Bitcoin ecosystem, and maybe if we get even crazier with it, Bitcoin faucets that are tied into those social media networks. That would be even cooler. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like that was like what I used to think crypto was going to become really fast, and maybe we get there, but maybe we don't. But like I think that would be cool though, just kind of like as an end game.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Like, what was that computer? Do you guys remember that computer that came out a while ago, and they were like trying to be the Bitcoin computer? Like every interaction cost like Satoshis or something. I don't know, but stuff like that would be cool. Like there's ideas out
I've heard
there.
A lot of stuff like that. Yeah, where they're like, oh, blockchain, like a blockchain phone or a whatever, and I'm like, well, what's the benefit? Pitch me on that. But sometimes I just feel like people just want to ride the popularity wave of crypto and Bitcoin and stuff, and just if anything can be blockchain, it'll sell or whatever. And
it reminds me of the .com bubble when all you had to do was put .com on the end of your name and your stock would 100x or whatever. Even in that bubble, when that bubble crashed, people realized that a lot of these projects actually don't show any value at all. So I think that's going to happen with crypto too, that the most valuable projects are going to win out. I mean, where's Bingo? Where's bingo.com or pets.com?
See, that's what I'm thinking. Where's all the common sense stuff? Like, where's the stuff that we want? The stuff that's illegal? Like, where's Silk Road? That's like straight up the autonomous. You know what I mean? Where's fucking gambling.com that lets you interact from wherever the hell you are in the world for no problem? Where's, do you guys remember directbet.eu? Probably shouldn't even say this because I'm fucking American, but I don't even care. But like directbet.eu, man, these guys were the best website ever. You used to be able to just autonomously send in crypto and it would send out your winnings if you. I got scammed because of like some other like the winnings being decided wrong sometimes, but that's betting, But like it was easy. It was easy to use. Now you put it into like Nitro, it has to be sitting in the account, blah 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 blah. Like it's just too much, right? Like, so I feel like those ways of thinking where it was just simple and it was just don't worry about what the law says those are gone. But if we could get back to those designs were probably better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that does sound fun.
And yeah, especially from an Agorist perspective. But
two life sentences in 40 years.
Man, I feel so bad for him, dude. Yeah, but he put a hit out on somebody. Yeah, shut the fuck up. No, he didn't.
Oh, it's not.
That's why the feds. It's like that's why the feds dropped that because they just threw that out there. They didn't have. There wasn't even a shred of evidence that he did any of that.
Well, just the fact that two or maybe even three, like whatever they are, FBI or whoever the federal people who are doing this are in prison because of malfeasance tied to this case.
I know,
they stole a ton. It's like that should get the whole thing thrown out. But I think they had a point to prove on that one.
Yeah, the government's number one fear is not guns. It's not other countries. It's fucking smart people.
Yeah,
it's autists.
All he did was create a website.
The autists.
All Ross Ulbricht did was create a website in which people could trade freely with each other, with whatever it was. And of course, the government doesn't like that. So they had to go in. But so free Ross, definitely.
Yeah, check out Railroaded is a really great, it's on YouTube, I believe. It's called Railroaded. It's like a 6-part series about that whole story. If any of y'all aren't familiar, it's very infuriating, but it's a good watch. So anyhow, what were we going to say?
No, I haven't seen that. But was there anything else you wanted to add, Dag? I think we're coming up on time here.
Yeah, no. I this was great. Half of it over my head as usual, but I had a blast.
Yeah, if you guys want, man, like I don't try to be nerdy or not, but I know I rant a lot. But if you guys want, anytime you guys want, we can do a smaller, like a little more coordinated pieces if you have like certain concepts you want to discuss. Because I know I can rant on a long time. But yeah, no, sorry if there's some shit I said that was just kind of like weird and complicated. I just have my own weird way of understanding things because like I don't really adhere to what everybody else says as much as I can. I just kind of try to understand it on my own world and my own, understanding of build on to what I've already learned. And I feel like a lot of the things I've learned, like Same thing when I was in 2011 telling people about Bitcoin. They didn't listen. They just told me, whatever, dude, like you're just ranting on about some shit. And I'm like, yeah, I'm totally ranting on about some shit because I care about you. Okay. I care about you enough to annoy the shit out of you right now. Okay. And I feel like people take that for granted sometimes, but like, I don't know. I've learned enough to where like, I've toned it down a little bit. I'm not going to go harass people about they need to own this or that cryptocurrency because at least they are aware of its existence. They know they can call me if they have a question. But honestly, don't call me about Bitcoin because you're annoying the hell out of me. But I mean, usually, like if people want to understand, like the information's there, that we've put them on the right path. I feel like that they can act as adults from here on out. And if we have to force it down people's throats, then maybe it's not super effective in the design, and then we need to do better, right?
Cool.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, was there anything else you wanted to make sure that you got out there, Decentralized, before we close up?
I just want to say rest in peace to Spock. He was a great guy, and I'm sure everybody would agree with me saying that we wouldn't be here without him. Some of the coding that he had begun, we're still in discussing how to complete it. He was mostly done with his BLS signatures and some of his privacy concepts. But being that we do not have him, it might be best to sort of keep them at the waste side for now and not fully implement them. But we'll see. It's kind of up to Proteus right now. If anybody else was interested in working on like privacy technology, feel free to hit us up. But it is kind of forward thinking, and he did code it from scratch I think mostly from his own. I think he was working off of some inspiration from the Chia code base. But the BLS signatures are basically a mixing, sort of automatic mixing on chain sort of protocol. We would love to continue, developing it. We just don't want to drown Proteus in development work right now and then make him quit. But yeah, other than that, he was a wonderful guy, and we hope his family is doing all right. And we're really sad to not have him around.
Yeah, I hear that, especially, I don't know. I'm not good with any kind of loss. So rest in peace to him. And now he was the one working on Terraform. Was Terraform completed, or it's still?
So there's a few things to kind of tie up in terms of the mining. I think there was maybe a couple bugs with the way the mining was being done, because we have a sort of side-by-side blockchain right now where it's possible to use BLS, but in a part-time sort of situation, and you kind of have to do it versus with the CLI right now. If we were to continue developing it, I think Proteus is considering doing it himself, but I just don't want to, like I said, drown him in development work. It would be nice if we had, maybe we need to do something with the code and put it out there so people can kind of read it and look at it and see if they can help us on GitHub. But essentially, it was mostly done, I believe. Mining was there. There would be a situation in the future where we'd have to hard fork and go full time for it to be most effective. So I think for now, we're happy with where we are. We can do a lot of things with the DeFi right now. The coin is going to support the project in more of a fundamental manner, instead of focusing on BLS. Currently, it would take a lot of effort, and it would take a lot of months of time. So I think it's just best we focus on some of the other lower hanging fruit right now. But like I said, if people are interested in working on it and kind of helping finalize it, that would be sweet.
Yeah, cool. You heard them. If there's any coders out there, definitely get with Dvault. Well, I'm going to end this with a quote. Paper money is going away, Elon Musk. Agorist Nexus out.